Some people believe that real ideas only exist if they can be stated in words, but the real inception of an idea exists without language, and that's where the real content is. And as soon as we start to afford language to it, it strips away content in order to make it malleable with the mouth or with symbols on a page. And what kind of compelled me to make that decision to do art full-time is simply I've always struggled with language as a whole, and it was a place that I was able to communicate my ideas or express ideas in a more complicated way that I felt that lineated language wasn't really affording me. And it wasn't until after I spent some time looking into therapy, this is well after undergrad, that I started recognizing a lot of characteristics that people with dyslexia have that I also have. And I always wondered why numbers and words would flip upside down, but just kind of thought that was something everyone dealt with. I think the main thing I'm compelled by in general is just mysteries that exist in articulate spaces. Being that my process requires that everything is connected, requires me to always kind of be in the on position, looking for connection, looking for how things are interrelated. When I leave the studio, it's not that I'm not an artist anymore. There's no clocking in and clocking out. Frustrates my family. The beginning stage of any body of work is not necessarily sitting down and thinking, oh, I'm going to create a body of work today. It develops over long periods of time, and it usually develops simply from thinking or sitting and staring or reading a book. Eventually it's something that I can't get out of my head. I'm talking to my wife about it, I'm talking to people on the bus about it, I'm writing about it nonstop, and then when it gets just to the point where it's overwhelming and I'm like too obsessed, that's when I start to dismantle it. And then I take it step by step backwards, and that's when the process emerges for whatever the painting or the series or the object will be. I think the studio is probably a one-to-one representation of me as an artist, unfortunately. It's just a scattered mess of random books and sketches and half-finished ideas and half-finished projects and materials that are being used for purposes that they weren't originally designed for. My approach to making work would be drastically different if I felt like I could communicate well. I think if I could communicate ideas and the ways I see things as being interconnected, I wouldn't have the need to be an artist or develop a different language, a visual language. I would probably be a scientist or something. I don't know, maybe a philosopher. I've tried to not be an artist. I've tried to treat it as a hobby, and it just was soul crushing. So there's no way I'll never be an artist.